Well, good morning. Yeah, it is morning. It's the early bird edition of Pickup Lines on a Wednesday. And dare I say, a wet Wednesday. Can you believe it? Shortly before we came on the air, I'm on the south side of San Antonio this morning, and we had some rain falling. And hard to believe that 2 days in a row. We are so fortunate. But hopefully wherever you are, you're getting a little beneficial rain here. This is Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Firm. Wait. Gamez Law Fights. I gotta do the boxing glove here. But a shout out to our sponsors, Mia's Mexican Grill in Helotes, Frank Salas there at 1604 in Bandera, and Rudy's Flooring and Restoration. They've done floors in my house a couple of times, and Rudy Esquivel is just good people. And maybe you've been thinking about an upgrade to your house or your bathroom or your kitchen or whatever that looks like. Doesn't cost you anything to call him and pick his brain, and he'll come through for you as he's done for me a couple of times here. But we're on the south side this morning, and so without further ado, let's bring in our guest. I've done probably close to a dozen of these pickup lines here, and I don't know that my history with the guest goes as far back as it does with April Monterrosa, who is here
Good morning.
in the house. Good to see you.
Yes, welcome, Primo. Welcome to my neighborhood.
You heard right. She said Primo. I just mentioned, you and I go back a long ways away, and I hope I'm not embarrassing you by saying that to me, you were April May.
Yeah.
For many years, that we, in a sense, kind of grew up together from a distance. I mean,
Yeah.
I was in Victoria, and you were, I guess, in San
Antonio, and we meet up in Del Rio.
But so let's tell everybody the common factor, or why we're primo. Like, if you were to take the family tree.
So my dad is your cousin.
Correct.
I'm your second cousin.
There you have it.
Yeah.
It's kind of complicated, right? But no, I was just as you were getting ready, or I was getting ready to talk to you, I was just reminiscing about our families and my late grandmother and just those people and those times. And not to date myself too much, but in the 80s, when we were going to Del Rio, we'd always swing through San Antonio and stop, and sometimes we'd get to see you or your family.
Yeah, yeah.
Just some of the best times.
Yes, we come from very good families.
Can't argue with that.
We do.
Can't argue with that. And we still got a handful of Zunigas in the Del Rio area, and obviously you have built quite a life for yourself here on the south side. And so yes, we are in this, and I was just telling our viewers, I don't know what we've done to deserve rain 2 days in a row.
I know. I think it's going to come all week.
Well,
I think we have a little break, and then it comes back for the
me.
weekend. Oh, same here.
That's fine with me.
Same here.
So it's so good to see you.
Yes, likewise.
I have to admit, and I think I've told you this a little bit, I've admired what you've been able to do in recent years, kind of from afar. We don't get to see each other super often, but that's what Facebook is great for, and texting and those kinds of things. So I know you brought this in with you, so let's show off your baby here.
This is the only one I found.
Live from the south side.
Live from the south side. And then I brought you a gift.
Oh my goodness, I love gifts. I love gifts.
You gotta sport the shirt.
There you go. Okay. Well, as soon as I'll slip out of this thing later, and I'll put this thing on. But live from the south side, you've done a number of things, and if your business card is probably this big because you've got like 10 titles. I mean, you do community activism and advocating, and you're an author, and you're a speaker, and you MC things, and you've got to deal with one of the TV stations, and you published a magazine, and you have a twin or something. Like, you do all this yourself?
I have a small team now. Yeah. I need one now.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yes. It's been quite the journey.
That's a good problem to have. So as the title would suggest, live from the south side and we're at Brooks right now. Tell people where we are.
We're on the Brooks campus at the Green Line.
Beautiful. And as I was driving in, you can't help but notice the construction and the development, and things are moving over here.
They are, but you can also see the San Antonio River.
Yeah, it's like a stone's throw away from here.
Yeah.
But so this is your baby, and again, as the title would suggest, this is just full of things, life on the south side of San Antonio.
It was. Now we're beyond that.
Expanding.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I've been able to utilize my travel writing that I did before my baby and incorporate that in the publication now. So my goal is to connect the South Side nationwide.
Good for you. So if you were to, extraterrestrials were to land here, or somebody from another foreign country were to come in and be here at Brooks, and they were to say, April, what is this place? Tell me about the south side of San Antonio.
Oh my goodness.
What's your quick elevator pitch?
It's where San Antonio was born. It's where all of our history started. The missions are here. The river runs through our part of town, and there's no other places like it in San Antonio.
Yeah. I know people where they live or where they grew up might be a little biased, but
Yes.
there really is. I mean, it's one of these things where, and I've lived in San Antonio now for 20 plus years, that you kind of kick yourself because you wish you'd come down here more often. If you don't live here.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But so you obviously live in this part of town. So what are some of your top favorite spots that hidden gems maybe, or places that people really need to come check out?
Oh my goodness, this one's one of them,
Yeah.
because you see that really pretty silver moon on the river. If you go to Mission Espada, they have Árbol de la Vida.
Yeah.
And it's a huge sculpture. I mean, it's literally huge, and it's sculptures from local artists, and it's right on the river as well. Of course, the missions, can't go wrong with that. Gosh, I don't know.
The list goes on and on.
Yeah, there's so, and you know what? All my favorite places are by the river because I'm really big on nature. Mitchell Lake Audubon Center is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time there because I serve on the board.
Well, I was going to say, because in addition to everything I mentioned a little while ago, you do serve on boards, and you MC at events, and you
Yes.
attend events and everything. And I know a lot of your message is about empowerment, lifting people up. How did that come about? Where did that come from?
I think that comes from my family.
Yeah.
When I speak on a lot of motivational panels and I meet other individuals from underserved communities, a lot of them say the same things to me. They'll say things like, well, you know how it is. You know how we grew up. And I'm like, no, because I know how I grew up. I grew up with both my parents.
Yeah.
I went to private school most of my life. So we were very empowered by our family.
Right.
Because, again, we come from good families.
Sure.
And being in an underserved community, right, especially when I got to experience public school, I got to see the other side of life that I had never seen in my own family. So I've just kind of, ever since I was a kid, was always helping the woman or the girl that didn't know any better, didn't know how to get there.
Right.
And that just stuck with me my whole life.
Right.
And that's kind of what my publication is for.
Yeah.
To encourage my Southside community to get out there and explore life.
Yeah. I was having this conversation with my kids the other day because I was blessed and my parents put myself and my brother and sister through private school as well. And back in the 80s, I had no sense of tuition costs and fees and running around to practices and doing all the things that parents do. And I have 3 kids now, and I obviously have a much just exponentially greater appreciation for what they must have gone through in the 80s and the 90s and those kinds of things, as I'm trying to do it myself now.
Yeah.
And I would imagine you have a similar feeling about your parents, just kind of everything they did.
Oh yeah, especially my dad leaving his job of many years and starting his own thing. And that's when we went to public school because he couldn't afford
Can't pay for the tuition.
to send 3 of us and start a business with absolutely no business knowledge. Like now there's so many resources out there, right? Free for small business owners.
Yeah,
and back then that didn't exist. There was no internet, there was no social media, everything was knock, phone calls, So yeah, I just, now that I'm an adult and I mentor a lot of women and a lot of young women, it makes me feel very blessed with my upbringing.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's kind of a full circle thing, I guess. But
it is.
This is Pickup Lines with April Monterrosa, just having a lot of fun here. And this is, again, we were just talking about live from the Southside. And I'm curious because so much of media in recent years, I feel like, has gone digital. People don't necessarily read the newspaper like they used to. They get the digital copy, and maybe they don't watch TV as much because they can get everything on their phone.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, why did you decide to go? I mean, you have the digital component,
I do.
Obviously, but to have a paper copy magazine, why?
It's funny. Of course, my digital version gets read the most, right?
Yeah.
But the Southside is very big on family. I don't care where I travel to. If I mention I'm from Southside San Antonio, people think they're like my long lost cousin, right?
Must be.
So I have a kids writing program attached to my publication, and I work with all the Southside ISDs, and their kids get to contribute and get to be published authors.
Yeah, that's great.
So for me, back to the family aspect,
Yes.
right? People want a copy of their niece, their nephew, their grandchild. They want that, yeah. Because I could totally do away with that, because it's the digital copy that everyone reads, and it goes to about 18,000 people in their inbox. You know, we're blessed to have a very great reach, but people want that. Yeah, they want it because they ask for it.
It's like a keepsake.
Where can that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
My husband was in there. My wife was in there. My nephew, whatever. So yeah, I don't think I'm doing away with that for that reason.
And so 20, 30, 50 years from now, when these kids grow up or whatever, they have this still. And so, so that's really cool. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you weren't always. I remember when we were much younger. I don't remember you talking about publishing a magazine and getting into the mass communications and multimedia. Your journey, I know, took some turns and everything. But what ultimately led you to this world?
Honestly, survival. It was survival. I owned a spa for about 12 years. And then during that period, I met a woman. She's one of my great friends and mentors. Now her name is Lisa Peach. She started a publication, and I got into travel writing. So my main reach was out of San Antonio, because I'm highlighting hill country coastal towns, right? But when COVID hit, I couldn't do the spa thing anymore, because we had to close all the beauty businesses.
Couldn't touch people.
Nope, nothing. And then even when it got better, right, people were still scared.
I remember.
Yeah. So that was always a childhood dream, to create my own publication. My mom was a cool mom and would buy 17 magazine for me, and Teen and all this stuff. And I just loved magazines, and I loved writing. I've always kept journals. So I created this. My mentor guided me on the first one, and she said, "You better pay attention, because I'm setting you free after this." I had no plan at all, and I released it, and a lot of press reached out to me.
Yeah, and you were recognized by the state legislature, right, in Austin?
Yes, I received I'm a Texas Legislative honoree. Thank you to it's okay.
There you go.
Thank you to Texas State Rep Elizabeth Campos. She's from the Southside as well. Yeah. And she acknowledged all of my community efforts and being a Latina leader in my Southside community. It wasn't until then I was like, okay, this is what I was meant to do. If I'm standing here in the freaking legislative, with all these powerful people, okay, then maybe this is my calling. Because, when I lost my business, I didn't know what I was gonna do. Do I go back to that? Because that was my first baby, right? That's what
you knew, and you were comfortable there.
Yeah. So, and here I am.
And certainly there must be young women or men maybe out there that are sitting there right now on the fence. They're in a situation that they're thinking, I want to do what she did, but I don't know how. I'm scared out of my mind. So how do you take that step?
You just have to push yourself. You know what that's like.
Yeah, it's hard.
You
it's
have
hard,
to
though.
Push yourself. I mean, it doesn't matter who you network with, who you meet, who you spend time with. Of course, positive people. Always spend time with positive people. At the end of the day, it's up to you. No one can make things happen for you. You just have to do it yourself. And it was really hard in the beginning, because, I got really cool feedback from the community, and I also got feedback that wasn't so cool, because people are like, the Southside, come on, and I didn't care. You just have to do your thing. You just have to find it in you, do your thing, and keep going.
I wonder if anybody ever came to you in the early days and said, why are you limiting yourself to the Southside? Why don't you write about the whole city and everything?
I do now.
Yeah, I know you do now, early on, I just wonder if people were like, I don't know, just kind of what you said, not everybody was kind or supportive.
They were not. I did get the question of, well, I mean, how much content can you get from the Southside? Right. And I'm like, because I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people. And they
probably weren't from the Southside, were they? The people, your critics, maybe not
some
necessarily.
Were.
Really?
Yeah, really? Some were. And I mean, it is what it is, right? That's how people are.
It worked out okay. It worked out okay.
It did. It did. The community has been very supportive. Through the publication, I started a female empowerment group that's led to other things. That's led me to serving on these boards now, because there's only one of me. I also created the Southside Book and Art Fair, which happens in fall. It'll be our 3rd year. We've never had a book fair on the Southside. And now I get to bring light to the Mitchell Lake Audubon Center, which is the only wetlands and nature preserve in San Antonio where all the migratory birds rest before they head north.
Did you just say there's never been a book fair on the Southside?
Never.
Now, I remember a few years ago the fight or the back and forth about bringing a bookstore to the Southside. I feel like that happened a few years ago. I cannot believe that a book fair has never happened.
Yeah. Nope. It was a lot of work. It's, I reached out to other authors that I know that are from the community, and the Twig that's at the Pearl,
the bookstore. They've
been a part of it as well. And this year, my goal is to get more local community authors involved.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm excited for that.
So then, because you do all this thing, but work-life balance, I mean, you've got a family, obviously. I mean, how do you manage your time and keep your priorities straight, and what do you like to do for fun?
Ooh, I say no to a lot of things now.
That's hard, though, sometimes.
It's gotten easier.
Yeah, no.
Because I feel better.
Yeah.
Because when you're in media, you're on.
Oh, I know.
All the time. You're like, right? Okay, we're not like that 24/7.
Wait a minute. Speak for yourself. No, you're so right. Because when I first started, I would say yes to everything, and and then there was that point where and my wife would tell me, we have to, like, we had little kids, newborns and twins, and I was like, we have to say no. You kind of have to pick your spots.
Yeah, I say no to things. I feel better. I sleep more now, and I have a very supportive partner that will tell me, take a break, you're doing too much. I have that person in my life that helps a lot.
Yes.
And I'm very intuitive, so if I feel like I don't need to be there, I'll send someone from my team. Anytime it's kid related, though, I show up.
No, yeah, that's true.
All the time, because I love that. So yeah, I think that's how. And things I like to do for fun, I love to travel. I like to go hiking, fishing. I'm very big on nature. I'm a big tomboy. Don't let the makeup fool you. I come from an avid outdoorsman, and I'm the oldest, so I was the one with all my uncles and my dad all the time hunting and fishing. So that's what I like to do.
Well, people follow you on social media. I know you put pictures and stuff of your travels sometimes and things like that. So, because I've never been a good fisherman. I don't know. I didn't get that gene. But
that's the Galindo gene.
Yeah, that's for her family. Yes, no, very, very good stuff. So, okay, let's do this. Favorite restaurant on the Southside?
Ooh, I would have to say Bobby's Cafe.
Okay.
That's more mom and pop.
Okay.
It's like an American diner.
Okay.
They've actually been, I believe, on Texas Monthly.
Okay.
People travel from all over the place just to visit there.
Yeah.
And then one down the street, 1917.
Okay.
It's inside the Embassy Brooks Hotel.
Yeah.
It's awesome. People don't know that they can go there. It's open to the public.
Right.
It's very good.
Yeah. All right, favorite hangout, like to watch the Spurs game or football or have a cold one?
Oh my goodness.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
oh gosh, I would have to say Brewster's Backyard Ice House.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of events there.
I know you have, yeah.
I had my book fairs there.
Yeah. And I met the owner.
Mr. Norm Velez.
Yeah,
yes.
I met him. It's super nice and invited me to come out and everything. And I had a feeling you were going to say Brewster's because every time I see pictures and stuff, everybody's having a lot of fun. But Spurs are like back in the news now. They're relevant again, and so a lot of people are going to be looking for places to.
But nothing beats going to the actual Spurs game.
Oh, that's true. Getting a ticket this year is going to be tougher than it has been in years past and everything. But right now, I actually, let me ask you this: where can people get if they want this?
They can visit www.livefromthesouthside.com and they can order it.
Okay.
It's print to order.
I love it. I love it. And this sucker, I mean, this is, you don't mess around here. This is.
Oh yeah, it's.
And how often does it come out?
Once a month.
Okay.
It comes out the first of every month.
It's beautiful.
Thank
I love
you.
it. I love it. So what else is in the empire, the April Monterrosa empire? What other grand plans do you have?
I'm getting ready to launch something called Discover South San Antonio,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be our little travel section of our site. So, like when you visit somewhere and you go to, explore Houston, or we're going to have one for the Southside. So, any travelers or visitors or people from surrounding areas, they want to know all the things to do on the Southside. It's one click away where all that information is.
One-stop shopping. Are these ideas that you come up with just like if you were to take us into your creative process without giving away too much? Like, how does that happen?
I think it comes from my travel. I got to hike the Rocky Mountains with the Weather Channel.
What?
Yes. And what was so cool about that is I was there for a conference, a travel conference, and they were excited to meet me. I'm like, little me, y'all are like the freaking Weather Channel. Like, this is cool. So I get these ideas from people I meet and other things I see on my travels, my work travels.
Yeah.
And things that I know don't exist here. And I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. So, yeah, I'm. You should see my phone because I have horrible handwriting. So I don't write things down because then I don't know what it is. So my phone, that's a Galindo gene too. We have horrible writing. So my phone is like full of ideas. Yeah. And then I kind of go through them and I'm like, okay, no, that's just crazy. That's just no. And then I'm like, no, I can do that. And if it matches with things that are going on in my life, because I'm very big on that, then I go for it.
Yeah. So what are we, I mean, we're coming up on fall. This time of year, does it tend to get more busy for you, or is it kind of ease leading up to the holidays? Or
I'll probably start traveling more in the fall. Yeah. Once the whole back to school and after Labor Day, when travel's a little quieter.
Yeah.
That's usually when all these gigs come up.
Yeah.
So I'll spend some time in the Midwest here in the fall. We do have the Wine and Taco Fest coming to Mitchell Lake in October.
Yeah.
So that's going to be super cool. Life from the Southside is teaming up with Casa Gipsat. It is the only Mexican wine boutique in San Antonio. It's located on the west side. Super cool. That's another travel thing too. Selena and I, the owner, we go to a lot of these wine events, like in Fredericksburg or Marble Falls, right? And they're nice with
Full
food
country
and all.
and,
Yeah. We don't have that on the South Side, so we're gonna have that now. Yeah.
Just add another.
Yeah, yeah.
Your list must be like.
It's fun. I'm having a good time.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a hunch, but do you think one of these days would you ever consider running for public office?
That is not the first time I've been asked that.
I had a feeling it wasn't.
Oh my goodness. Probably not.
Yeah.
I like to be friends with everybody.
Okay, forget it then. No, listen, it's interesting because people have told me the same thing before, like run for, and I've been doing some work with one of the city council members. And I have I've always had a deep appreciation for people who run for, whatever your political affiliation, but just the people who do that. It's so much more complex difficult, or I don't know if difficult is the word, but just complex. It's not just a simple like a popularity contest. Like, yes, but I if you were to say one day, years from now, that you were going to run for, I don't know, city council or whatever, or if they had a mayor of the South Side.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no. I would not do it. But shout out to Councilwoman District 3, 4, and 5. They all contribute to my publication and been very supportive.
So let me see. 5 is Terry Castillo.
Yes.
3 is Phyllis Villagran.
Yes.
And 4 is Adriana Rocha Garcia.
Yes.
Yeah, all 3 women who I've gotten to know a little bit, who themselves have great stories.
Oh,
and have done, just in terms of women on the city council, and I know have inspired a lot of people.
Yes, they show up. I will say that. They're very supportive of us small business owners here on the South Side.
And that's got to be insanely important to have
Oh, absolutely.
your elected officials like you said, show up.
Absolutely.
This is why a lot of people will say the right things or maybe say what you want to hear, but for them to actually show
No,
up,
they
they're
show up.
super busy.
And if they don't show up, their team does.
Yeah.
Somebody shows up all the time.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
It's very cool.
A few more minutes with April Monterrosa live from the Southside, among many, many other things. We would need to do another half hour to cover, I think, everything. But this is Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law. And it's just, again, we not necessarily grew up together, but our families, and I don't know about you, I talk about my late grandmother a lot because I always, when I need a little inspiration, and talk about a woman who overcame so much in Del Rio, she was born in, I think, 1915, and everything she saw and overcame, and I would imagine you have, if not your grandparents, just family members who have inspired you over the years to help you get where you are.
Oh, for sure. Well, your grandmother raised my grandmother.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy.
My grandmother Elia was very tough. I mean, that woman. I remember I'm the oldest grandchild from both sides of the family,
right?
And I would stay with her a lot. She'd wake up at 4:35 a.m., do the lawn, her plants, because she loved plants.
Yes.
And then go inside, make tortillas, cook for my grandfather, and then he'd leave, and then she'd go back outside, do the laundry, make lunch.
But this was in Del Rio.
No, this is
or
here.
in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say.
And then she'd have dinner, tortillas, everything ready by 6 o'clock when everybody got home.
And if you didn't eat, you better eat.
Yeah, if you don't eat, well, too bad. That's how Grandma Elia was. But and then she had a baking business. She made wedding cakes on the side.
I remember.
Yeah, she was. I think my dad came out like her because my dad's the same way. Yeah, I think that's where I get it from.
Just good with his hands and creative.
Oh, yeah.
And probably a workaholic or.
Oh yeah.
Just,
yeah.
But I always do think back about, and I try to remind my kids, my grandmother didn't live long enough to meet them, but just like where they came from and just those kinds of habits and the characteristics that I got to see growing up.
I remember swimming in the river behind your grandmother's house.
So my grandmother, lived she was a 70-year-old house in Del Rio. For people who know that area, the San Felipe Creek, literally, it's a 2-minute walk from her house, ran right behind it. Unfortunately, in 1998, when we had that terrible flooding here in San Antonio and Victoria, we had it, but Del Rio, the San Felipe Creek, somebody told me it went up like 7 feet.
Oh, wow.
In my grandmother's house, and thank goodness she was not at home at the time. But her house, that whole cul-de-sac was destroyed, and she lived a few more years. But you've been to the Easter picnics that we had even before the flood in '98. We still have them, and it's a different kind of a look than what it is, because Easter's a huge deal.
You're the star.
Well, I've been the Easter Bunny for the last few years. My dad handed it down to me after a while, and but then unfortunately, then the pandemic took that away, and it kind of changed and everything, and you lose some of the relatives who are a little older, you lose them, and the cycle kind of evolves. But some of my fondest memories growing up are in San Antonio and of course in Del Rio.
Yeah.
So
Same.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so any final thoughts here again? What are you doing today? I'm sure work? Am I interrupting something right now?
No, you're not. I actually have events today. I have a tasting at Techport. And then I have an event at the Euphoria Spa at the Embassy Brooks. We have a salt cave there. You got to look that up.
A salt cave?
Yes,
okay.
It's a Himalayan salt cave. So definitely follow me and you can see all that.
Like
cool
you
stuff.
go in there and it helps your skin and you feel
better? Oh
yeah,
it's infused with aromatherapy and it's great for allergies, relaxation.
Fantastic.
It's about 70 degrees. It's cold. They give you a blanket. It's cool. You got to try it.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
So give everybody your social media handles and everything. So
you can find me at livefromthesouthside.com, and I'm on all social media channels at Southside SATX and April May Media.
I love it. And this is the magazine. If you'd like to get the hard copy, I don't know. I might keep this one.
That's yours. That's yours.
Do you have a social secretary or somebody that plans all this for you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. I
do. Yes.
I don't know how you keep up with everything.
I do. I live by a calendar.
Well, listen, I am just a million times impressed by you and so happy for you and what you've been able to do. Like I said, I've been watching from afar all these years, when I was doing TV and just different things. But I've definitely, and if you haven't paid attention to what she's doing, if nothing else, just follow her on her social media, and you can travel vicariously and eat vicariously and go through salt caves vicariously and everything. But here's to many, many more years of success.
Thank
and
you.
Just your growing empire. It's really impressive what you've done. Live from the Southside is the publication. Get it wherever you get your favorite publication, either paper or digital. So all the best to you, April. So
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Very good. Okay, here we have done it. Another episode of Pickup Lines presented by Gamez Law Firm. We will be back very soon with another all-new live episode. Have a fantastic day.
Bye.